We're looking at a budget M4 with a pretty interesting rail system in this episode of Airsoftology Reviews. Let's face it, if you guys are in the market for a new M4 and you're wanting to kind of keep it in that budget price range, there are hundreds upon hundreds of options out there. I mean, it could be mind-blowing, and most of them really don't have a lot of different components. This one, however, does, and I want to share this one with you because of the rail system. This is the M15 SIR system from ASG. So externally, this is almost an entire polymer gun. In fact, it'd be pretty easy for me to tell you guys what the metal is. The metal is the outer barrel, the front sight, a few little bits and pieces around the rail system here on the side and like around the rear sight, the buffer tube, the charging handle, and your trigger. Everything else is pretty much polymer. Oh yeah, you do get front sling attachment and a rear sling attachment, both of which are metal as well. So that's built in to get you going so you don't have to add any extra components. And in the box, you do get a few extra bonuses, including a 350 round high cap magazine, and this great foregrip actually comes all with it. So in the kit, you get a lot of extra bonuses. Also, the body is polymer, but it looks really good. It's got a nice satin finish, some fantastic trademarks on it, and even a unique serial number. So you do get that Armalite trade on the body, and then of course you get the arms trade on the rail system, which is something different. It's actually a double licensed gun here, which is something you don't usually see in Airsoft. So let's talk about this rail. This is kind of like the really cool part about this. In fact, if you guys have been playing Airsoft for a long time, you may remember these rails. They were pretty common all over, and now they're pretty rare. In fact, the only one you're gonna get here is through the licensing, through ARMS, through ASG. What makes it so unique is, I don't know if you guys can see on camera, is how wide it is. It's not so wide where it's unwieldy, but it's wide enough to hold really large batteries up inside. That's right, this thing is front wired, obviously, because you got the law enforcement style 6-position stock back here. So here you actually get to put your batteries in, and you can really stuff them in. Usually with front wire guns, especially ones with rail systems, you are out of luck. You have to run like a battery box or like get a super tiny little battery just to jam into a rail system. Well, this one, you don't have to. In fact, on the side, you've got a little screw here, and you got a screw on the opposite side. You twist them a quarter turn. You can now slide this rail forward, move it off, and then you can access the battery compartment inside. And like I said, you can fit easily a full 9.6 nickel cadmium battery in there. You can even go for like a 10.8 if you can even find those things anymore, or even a 12 volt in here in certain configurations. And if you guys want to run a LiPo, you'll have no problem fitting pretty darn good sized LiPos up in here as well. But just because I said it was polymer doesn't mean you're getting robbed on the internals. The mech box is full metal inside, so you're not getting some polymer mech box here. This actually is a fully skirmishable, ready to go out in your field gun. And you do get a polymer type regular style hop-up. It's the kind with the 3 little dials in there. I really kind of wish they would move to that wheel type, that new dial type, instead of this one where it kind of has the little knobs here on the inside, just because the new ones are a little more accurate. But again, for this price point, I can't complain at all. Taking this thing out to the chrono, you're gonna see right at good field limit. Now, because this does have a 14.5-inch outer barrel, you're gonna see a little more power put behind this just because it is basically a field gun and not a CQB gun. So if you do play indoors and the limits are a little lower, you might have to get a little tech work to get this thing down below that 350. But considering that most fields out there are about 375 to 400, you should have no problem running this just about anywhere. So there's a few more things I do like about the rail I didn't mention earlier before we wrap this whole review up, and it is because of the type of rail, the way it mounts here to the top receiver, it gives you a little bit of a riser. They also give you a built-in flip-up rear sight to kind of compensate for it. It's all built into one system, which is really nice, fully adjustable for windage and elevation. But because you get this almost an inch worth of height, it makes it a lot easier to use with full face mask, which is a huge plus for this gun. It allows you to get down a little bit lower on it and not have to worry about having, if you put an optic on here or even are using the iron sights, you actually can get a little more clearance if you're running one of those hard face masks. The only negative I found on this is although they do include this vertical foregrip, the way this bottom front rail, because you get a bottom rail and 2 side rails here as well, the bottom one only attaches in 2 screws toward the back. So if you want to run this actual grip out toward the front, it does have a little play because these rails are plastic, like I mentioned earlier. So you're definitely going to want to run this grip down a little bit closer to the actual magwell, which is personally the way I run it. But if you do run out farther, be wary that it could have a little play, and I'm kind of concerned about the longevity of it. So guys, if you're looking for a budget gun that won't break the bank, will hold some massive batteries, which for me is a huge plus to be able to put just about any battery you want up in this front grip, and have some extra rail space like the vertical here to make it easier to use with full face masks or those lower mesh masks, definitely check out the M15 SIR system from ASG. And if you guys want to learn more about this and pick one up, I've got a link in the description below that will take you right over. As always, thanks for tuning in. If you're not currently a subscriber, click on the logo in the bottom right or in the description and you'll always be in the know. Plus, if you like what you saw in this video and want to learn more, I've got a link down there as well. And if you haven't had your airsoft fix just yet, click in the videos on the right or use the info button at the top of the screen for more. And as the saying goes, everyone has an opinion, and I do want to hear yours. So give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on this video, comment, and share.